Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 11 of Season 4 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I'm Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway as we're getting set for 41 laps of racing on my favorite track to go to in this series. Not in real NASCAR, but in this series, we always have great races here, and today should be no different. Now, before we get into everything, I do want to let people know that I decided to cancel the first seasons of NNSCRA Domino's NXT and Amazon Prime Truck Series, only because I've got a busy work schedule ahead and also going on a bunch of different trips, so I'm not going to have the time to do 3 series. I'll only be able to do 1, which is the big one, the Marvel Studios Cup Series. However, even though the first season of those series got canceled and no longer exist, a revamped first season will happen when Season 5 begins with a bigger schedule and a little more of a consistent field, I would say. So, and that also gets into, once this season ends, we're going to go on a 2-month hiatus, so we're not going to have any more Marvel Studios Cup races until perhaps around mid-August. So once the finale happens, there's going to be a 2.5 month hiatus just to get everything prepared for Season 5 of Marvel Studios Cup Series, as well as the newly revamped first seasons of Domino's NXT and Amazon Prime Truck Series. So, hope you guys understand that. Just busy things coming up, and I'm just not going to be able to have the time to do them right now. But with that being said, however, before we look at the lineup, let's take a look at the point standings. Joshua Sekuli still maintains the points lead, and he leads by 12 points over James McLeod. Third is Trent Dunham, fourth James Qualls, fifth Dylan Young. Sixth Sean Galligan, seventh Dylan Thoreau, eighth William Brock, ninth Chris Dollerton, 10th Charles Sanford, 11th Jessica Sheldon, and 12th Carson Gum. Currently, those are the top 12 to make it in the chase on points. The 2 wildcard drivers currently would be Zach Flickinger, who's in the top 30 in points with 2 wins, and then Jay Jefferson, who's 13th in points with 1 win. But still a long way to go in the season before we really get set in stone who's going to make the chase or not. But let's take a look at the starting lineup. Starting in the last row is Dylan Jacobs and Pichu London. Top 10, Shane Lake is on the pole for today. Great run for that rookie in qualifying. Starting next to him is fellow Dodge Matt McIntyre. Row 2, Dylan Young and Rafael Leduc. Row 3, Tim Fiegel, Brandon Gonzalez. Row 4, Emmanuel Hardnett, Benjamin Miles. And then row 5, Preston Plord and Joshua Collard. With that being said, let's get the command to fire engines for the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas.
Drivers, start your engines!
Well, all 42 cars rolling on the racetrack for their pace lap. So the thing we always like to see here at Kansas is constant passing for any position. And also, no matter where you start, you can work your way up through the field if you get a big enough run on the bottom and know what you're doing. Pretty much anybody has got a shot to win this thing, no matter where you start. Whether you're on the pole or starting dead last, everybody has a fair chance to win this race. But also with this racetrack, we'll see the drivers attempt to use the apron. Excuse me, I kind of had a hiccup there. But yeah, drivers can use the apron here on the front stretch to try and go for positions. But the pace car's in pit road, and it's time to boogity, boogity, boogity go racing. Well, Shane Lake did lead the first lap, so that's 2 bonus points. 1 for getting the pole, 1 for leading a lap. Meanwhile, battle ensuing for second. Tim Fiegel with that run and that... as my phone decided to go off for no reason. Meanwhile, I was trying to get my phone to knock off its hooked on a feeling. Shane Lake still leading the way. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Hartnett's now got a run for second. A 3 wide for third. Dylan Poteet in that 31 Stanley Tools Chevy. Already working his way up through the field. And then I see back here Dylan Thoreau up to the 5th position. As Tim Fiegel, who was second, is now slipping back quite a good ways. As Seth Cole in that number 98 Liberty University Toyota for Backmarker Motorsports, in which he will be returning to that ride in Season 5. Pretty much the field is pretty much set for Season 5. All 40 cars have been locked up, so for those who are not going to be in Season 5 that want to ride, you'll have to sign up for Domino's NXT or Amazon Prime for August if you want to have a ride on a series in this channel. Meanwhile, back up here, ever since the drop of the green flag, Shane Lake has been hanging on to that top spot, but guys have been able to reel him in, but just haven't been able to get by him because other cars are coming in trying to take spots away. Right now, Galligan has got a run on the 55. Now it's a question of whether or not he's going to go for the move right now. Then again, it is early in the race. Long way to go. You don't want to go too crazy too early. Meanwhile, look at this run for Seth Cole using the apron, and there is no out of bounds here. You can use the apron to your advantage. And Seth Cole goes on by William Brock for that spot. That was for 5th. But look at James McLeod, the Daytona 500 winner, second in points. He's now up here into the mix. Meanwhile, battle between Dillons for 3rd. Dylan Thoreau goes by Dylan Poteet. And now we got our first challenger for the lead today, Sean Galligan, with a run to the inside of fellow Dodge Shane Lake. And he goes on by. Now we're going to start to see the shuffles go on. Galligan has the lead, but Dylan Thoreau has got a big run ensuing for himself, and now he's going to have the run to the inside. Dylan Poteet going to follow with his fellow Dylan. And Dylan Thoreau led that lap. Meanwhile, how about Benjamin Miles? Benjamin Miles, this has been his first start in quite a few weeks. After all, he fell out of the top 30 in points and just hasn't been able to qualify in for races. Well, now he's in this week in that number 12 and already having a solid day going, running up here in 3rd now as Dylan Poteet has the lead, but Sean Galligan, I think, is going to beat him at the line, and he did. So Galligan led that lap over Poteet by 1/100th of a second. But Galligan left the bottom open as here comes Benjamin Miles for the lead. Meanwhile, behind them, it's James versus James, McLeod versus Shelley, and Shelley gets shuffled up to 4th, or back to 4th, and now McLeod up to 2nd. James McLeod has definitely been looking to try and follow up on the Daytona 500 win by picking up another win. Then again, he's got the most top 10s out of anybody this season with 5. But he wants to get a second win so that way he can back up that Daytona 500 victory. Benjamin Miles still leading, but Galligan's coming back. And look at the 90 of Jackie Tang in that City Financial Ford. He's now up here in the top 5, now up to the 3rd position. And now Tang is going to have a big run for the lead. Like I said, you're going to see a lot of shuffling for not only the lead, but for pretty much any position on track. And look at James Shelley. James Shelley has been making races quite a good bit lately. He's still looking to try and get some good runs so he can try and get into the top 30 in points to get locked into future races. Shelley now is going to go on by, but look at Johnny Gardner in the 41. He's trying to follow suit and try to go for spots for himself, but he left the room open on the bottom for Dylan Thoreau to try and take that spot. Sky Commons in the number 45, he's now up here in the top 5, and this is the first time I think I've seen him up here all day so far. Meanwhile, battle for the lead ongoing. Dylan Thoreau's going to go on by. Looking around the back, and right now Dorian Facepuncher slips to the very back of the field, and Dylan Jacobs I see in the 78, he started 41st, and he hasn't really been able to pick up very much ground from what I can tell, so he's definitely hoping for a quick caution or perhaps for pit strategy to go his way in hopes of making things happen. But back up here, Shane Lake, who led early on, he's now back up to the lead, and he's got a bit of a gap now between himself and now second place James McLeod. That was 3 wide for second, and look at William Brock in the 66. Saw Johnny Gardner get a little bit loose in the middle of the corner, but he manages to keep it together. Meanwhile, William Brock trying to run down fellow Dodge Shane Lake for that top spot on the racetrack. Sean Galligan, on the other hand, trying to hold off Johnny Gardner among others behind him while he's also trying to go for spots. Top 3 is Dodges right now, but for different teams. But correlation of numbers, 44, 55, 66. That's kind of funny. But Galligan now is going to take second from the 66, and now Shelley and Miles are coming back up through. So is Jackie Tang in the 90. Running down there, although he's slowing down. I think this is pit stops about to happen. Yes, it is. First set of green flag pit stops is ongoing. Actually, there are already a few cars that came in. Quite a bunch, actually. Dylan Thoreau was already in, but the caution is out. And I think it was for a spin here off of turn 4. It might have been Charles Sanford. Oh no, I see damage on the 4 of DJ Curtis's car. But he's not damaged enough to be done for today. It looks like he'll be able to continue. But yeah, I'm curious to know who he ran into. And I was thinking Charles Sanford because he was sideways. But lucky break for a lot of those guys who came in the pit road or stayed out. And luckily we're before 10 laps to go, so I wouldn't expect a screwed up field, but you never know. I mean, we always tend to have that kind of problem. And I honestly don't even know who's going to be the race leader. According to scoring, it is Johnny Gardner with the lead, but it's looking like he's going to come in the pit road now. I see Chris Dollarton's still on pit road. I don't know what went wrong with his pit stop, but tough break for that 22 car, but everyone's coming into pit road, including more drivers coming in. Now it's definitely kind of hard to tell who is the race leader. As I'm trying to look for the pace car, there he is. But while we wait for the field to get cycled around, we're going to take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the first time today here at Kansas. Well, all this starts when people are coming into pit road, and Charles Sanford, I think, was trying to get to pit road, but just had too much speed and just ran into the back of DJ Curtis, and in turn, Curtis runs into the back of Trent Dunham, and the 03 of Charles Sanford ends up going for a big spin on the racetrack off of turn 4, but manages to keep it back going and get to pit road. But yeah, that was just a big error on the part of Charles Sanford. He didn't realize he was going too fast when trying to get to pit road, and there were cars on the bottom trying to get in for themselves. So that was just a big mistake that ended up costing DJ Curtis a hood now. So, but we're going to go ahead and take you to the restart here at Kansas. Well, no cars are out of the race, but we got numerous cars a lap or more down as a result of that caution coming out. But most of them are going to restart on the inside behind the pace car. So we're going to see quite an interesting restart here because there are only 28 cars on the lead lap, and the leader is not even up to the pace car. The leader is all the way, if we can get to him, back here. There's your leader, Johnny Gardner, as a result of all this confusion. So Johnny Gardner is your race leader. Second, William Brock. Third, Kyle Matthews. Fourth, James McLeod. Fifth, Scott Roush. Sixth, Alex Gray. Seventh, Dougie Shears. Eighth, Matt Haas. And ninth, Zach Flickinger. And everyone else that's on the lead lap is way ahead of Johnny Gardner. So you can definitely tell the guys who are in front of Johnny Gardner are definitely hoping and banking on a caution so that way they can either cycle back around or get back on the lead lap. We're going to see if Dollarton and company on the bottom is going to be able to get back on the lead lap as a result. We're going to keep an eye on the scoring here from back in the 30s to see if they actually do get back on the lead lap. And it looks like they will, so this is a bit of a first time ever big double file restart, but with cars that are a lap or more down, and the only one who's still a lap down, there's only a few still a lap down currently. But man, this is already a big congestion up here. 4 wide back here. This may not end well. Holy crap, I'm keeping my eyes on this. Oh, Fiegel into the wall, but he keeps it together. But they are still 4 wide, almost 5 wide at one point. Something's got to give with this. This is really, really crazy. This is almost like Talladega Daytona racing right here. But just imagine if this was all the fight for the lead, though. Imagine that, people. And I'm trying to look for where the leader is. According to scoring, it's William Brock in the 66, and he's still in a bit of a congestion right now, running with all these other cars. Meanwhile, everyone that was a lap down are trying to make strides to keep themselves ahead of the race leader, so that way if a caution were to come out, they would be able to cycle back around. As meanwhile, this is actually a battle for 10th up here between Sky Commons and now Dylan Jacobs, but this really should be the battle for the lead. Dylan Jacobs takes that spot. But according to scoring, the lead is to... I guess according to scoring, it's still William Brock. Let me actually try and look for that. Actually, I think it'd be now Zach Flickinger, because he's clearly ahead of those guys as he's trying to put a bunch of cars a lap down. But yeah, this is still quite crazy and quite congested, as I must say. But yeah, these guys are definitely hoping for a quick caution to come out. And if they race this hard and not give each other room, I wouldn't be surprised if we did get one. And also, keep in mind, they may have to pit one more time before the race ends. So we're not out of the woods yet when it comes to pit stops. But look at Zach Flickinger going up through the field, and he's almost lapped the majority of the field as he is really, really fast right now. Zach Flickinger is actually trying to go for win number 3 this season. He won 2 in a row. He won Oswego and then Texas a few weeks ago. Didn't get that win at Talladega, but he's looking to try and go for 3 out of 4 in the last 4 races. Right now he's in position to do that, and he's got 2 more cars in his sight to put a lap down, and then it'll only be 8 cars or so on the lead lap. But again, pit stops are going to be big, and the caution is out again. But it was a little bit too late, but it was good timing for Benjamin Miles. But bad timing for the guys behind Flickinger, who are still a lap down. Caution is out. Oh, and Dorian face puncher with damage. Dylan Young damaged, and DJ Curtis on pit road. Preston Plord's damaged. Joshua Collard, Phil Parker, Seth Cole, Scott Roush, Rafael LeDuc, Johnny Gardner, James Shelley. This must have been a big, big problem. As some cars are coming into pit road, but the majority of the field stays out. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at the replay of what brought the caution out for the second time today here at Kansas. Just as I was fearing, when they were going 4 wide, they weren't going to give each other enough room, and it just looked like Emmanuel Hardenett was like the meat in the sandwich between Dylan Young and Shane Lake, and they just all collided. And everybody just started to scramble and then run right over each other. And just nowhere to go for a lot of these cars. Is look at all the smoke, and whoa, look at the air Phil Parker got for a split second. After all this chaos. And man, this took out about a little less than half the field was caught up in some way, shape, or form. Got big damage or little cosmetic damage. But man, just complete and utter mayhem here on the front straightaway after a wreck that got started with 4 wide going wrong, and Dylan Young took the worst of it as he just was shy of the start-finish line. Oh, and then we had a follow-up incident. Oh, DJ Curtis. Wow, look at how fast he's going. He's trying to drive through, but runs right over Seth Cole, and wow, that was a hard hit. Seth Cole went up in the air, ricocheted up into the outside wall pretty hard. Oh man, I wonder if Phil Parker's gonna hit him. No, it doesn't look like it, so. But yeah, big wreck here on the front stretch at Kansas. So now, questions going to come into play as to who will be able to get back on the lead lap, who's going to battle for the win. We're going to answer that question here just in a moment, as we're going to take you to the restart here at Kansas. Well, when we get back to racing, it'll be 5 laps to go, and quite a bunch of cars are done for today, and they include Johnny Gardner, Scott Roush, James Shelley, Rafael LeDuc, Seth Cole, Joshua Collard, Preston Plord, Phil Parker, DJ Curtis, Dylan Young, Dorian Facepuncher, and Jake Baskinger. So we're down to 30 cars on track, 7 on the lead lap, but not everyone came into pit road under caution, which leaves me to suspect that perhaps before the white flag, we might see drivers come into pit road, and some might try and stay out just to get track position and perhaps to win. But the 7 that are still on the lead lap are Zach Flickinger, who's the leader, and then 5th in line, Kyle Matthews in 2nd. Then 3rd, Alex Gray. 4th, William Brock. 5th is all the way back here in Dougie Shears. 6th is Matt Haas, and then 7th in the very back is Benjamin Miles. Everyone else is a lap or so down, but the rest of the top 10 is Dylan Jacobs, Sky Commons, and Jackie Tang. But the green flag is back out here at Kansas, and Dylan Jacobs didn't really quite get going on that restart. Perhaps maybe he's going to buy his time to try and go to get back on the lead lap. But he's also got to contend with a few cars behind him who are in position to take that spot. Like Sky Commons, who's right now literally on the back bumper of the 78. Now the 78 feels it's perhaps go time to try and go and take that spot to be back on the lead lap. And he's got to run underneath of Flickinger. 5 laps to go now. I meant to say 6 laps to go last time by, but yeah, it's now 5 to go, and Dylan Jacobs back on the lead lap. Same with Jackie Tang, and a new leader, Kyle Matthews, takes the spot. Kyle Matthews, who moved up quite a few spots in the point standings after last week at Talladega. He's still trying to go for that win, his first win of the season and his first win in a long time. Right now he's got that spot to make it work. But again, you gotta wonder, do these guys have enough gas? Or perhaps because we've had 2 cautions, they may have been able to save up gas to continue the rest of the way, but I don't know. That might be a sign Emmanuel Hartnett's come in, so he wasn't able to make it on gas the rest of the way. So now that brings up the question, will anybody else join him? Doesn't look like anybody up here is. Jessica Shelton's coming in, so is Dougie Shears. He's going to sacrifice a spot on track, and numerous cars are coming in, actually. A lot of cars coming in, so now that's really going to put the pressure on these guys. And I think the leader currently is Alex Gray in the 50. Oh, nearly a wreck right there when going 3 wide. Nobody out of this group up here is coming in. Trent Dunham's going to pull in. And I believe the white flag is displayed for Alex Gray. And the closest car to him for the spot is William Brock, but he's marred in traffic. Alex Gray is trying to keep the spot while cars are going by him. He's not going to have any problems. Checkered flag is waving. Alex Gray gets his first ever win in the series. He wins the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas. Great race despite a couple of incidents taking place, but it was still just typical Kansas. Great position shuffling, and man was this excellent. But let's look at the rest of the results. William Brock, who finishes in second after all the confusion with the scoring, manages to get to that spot. Kyle Matthews with his first top 5 finish of the season in a 3rd place finish. Alex Gray's teammate Zach Flickinger was so close to getting win number 3, but still comes through with a great run in 4th, and then rounding out the top 5 with a solid run in 5th was Matt Haas. And then the second highest finishing rookie behind Alex Gray was Brandon Gonzalez, who's the final car on the lead lap in 6th, and then everyone else finished a lap down. But Zachary Fitzwater comes through with a great run in 7th, great run in 8th for the points leader, Joshua Sekuli. Dylan Poteet finishes out in 9th, and then rounding out the top 10 was the defending champion, Matt McIntyre. Rest of the top 20 was Sky Commons, Dylan Jacobs, Jackie Tang, James McLeod, Tim Fiegel, Pichu London, James Qualls, Sean Galligan, Dougie Shears, Dylan Thoreau. The rest of the top 30 was Benjamin Miles, Carson Gump, Trent Dunham, Chris Dollerton, Jessica Shelton, Charles Sanford, Anthony McCrory, Shane Lake, Emmanuel Hartnett, Jay Jefferson. Everyone else was out of the race after that big one that happened earlier, and they are Johnny Gardner, Scott Roush, James Shelley, Rafael LeDuc, Seth Cole, Joshua Collard, Preston Plord, Phil Parker, DJ Curtis, Dylan Young, Dorian Facepuncher, and Jake Baskinger. Well, that does it for our coverage here today at Kansas Speedway. One race left before All-Star break at Armory Digital Superspeedway, and the next race we go to is Pocono for the Pocono 400. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Pocono. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.